I've fallen, and I can't get up.
Hello everybody, I'm Professor Pixel here once again on Mad Men with a Box. I am your host and your only host for this evening to discuss Episode 1 of Series 11, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. If you've been around on the channel a while, you know of a bet between Jimmy and myself with the discussion of David Tennant returning Doctor Who and what his role could be. The rules were quite simple. If David Tennant is returning again to be 10-teen, Jimmy would have to make videos reviewing every Mark Gatiss written episode. To my delight, I was right. However, Jimmy insists that, oh no, there's no confirmation still, so he wanted to wait. I have the solution. I will go ahead and do my part, which if I lost, I had to review all the Jodie episodes. And now he must give us that sweet Gatiss content that we so desire. That requires my part, and my part begins now. So we have to start off with the first episode. And digging back in to this for the second go round was interesting, to say the least. I remembered most of this, but seeing it the second time really changed my perspective. We're obviously introduced to the companions, three main ones we know: Ryan, Graham, and Yaz, how they're all connected, and what brings them together to meet the Doctor, who doesn't even appear until, 12 minutes in? But this episode has a movement about it that you don't feel that. It feels like half the episode, but not in a bad way. As in, there's so much going on that you are experiencing the story, which sounds like praise, and it is, in fact, praise. I enjoyed The Woman Who Fell to Earth. I forgot I enjoyed it, but I did enjoy it. I think Jodie actually stands out quite a bit in this episode. As soon as she crashes down, she starts taking control, and she starts, okay, here's what we're going to do. X, Y, Z. She is able to use the companions at her disposal properly. All in the meanwhile, she just regenerated, so she's still adjusting. There's still a lot going on. I mean, from the very start of the episode, it does feel like you should be a little worried when you meet Ryan and he has a video. I'm going to tell you about the best woman I've ever met. And obviously, who's the big star of the show? Doctor Who. So I feel like it could have taken a really bad turn if you were going to go ahead and have your first companion introduced that is just praising the Doctor. But thankfully, later we know his grandma just dies. So, speaking of dead grandmas, Grace is a fantastic character. I have to resist the urge not to talk about my spin-off ideas. But Grace herself is fantastic. She's outgoing. She's adventurous. She cares a lot about Ryan, obviously, and cares a lot about her husband, Graham. He is my favorite. Even now, in this episode, the very first, Graham stands out. I don't want to do that. Is it wrong to be excited by this? Yes! He's the normal one of the group. And then he just has this charm about him. He's really enjoyable. And the last companion is Yaz, who just wants to be recognized at her job. She can do more. I don't really have anything negative to say about that. That's fine. How it's going to play into her as a character of the future is... that's a conversation for a later date. I'm going to do this episode by episode and keep that in mind rather than think in the grand scheme, because if I did think in the overall run, we would have a very different review. with all the companions already spoken about, and I spoke about Jodie, I'm going to actually reiterate, she is strong in this first episode. She has a performance that absolutely carries. She has control of the situation, even as she's trying to learn what's going on. And her without her Sonic at first, that she has to go ahead and build, that entire scene showing that she is capable of doing that is really good. It's really fantastic. So yeah, in this episode, it's all good marks for Jodie, I think. The line, "Oh, who am I?" It gets a little annoying after a bit, but it's nothing that detracts from the episode. And actually does have a good payoff when she finally says, "I'm the doctor, and I'm all about fair play." Okay, I can feel it. I can vibe with it. And the last thing we'll discuss is the antagonist, Tim Shaw, or Zim Shaw, as he says. And his motivation is basically, oh, well, I have to go ahead and take a trophy, because that's what a species does. They send down a device to go ahead and tag a random human, and his kind will come down, one of them, and once they capture the trophy and they go back, they are made the leader of their tribe. So it feels a lot like Predator, because it's basically Predator. However, Tim Shaw is a shitty Predator because he didn't follow the rules. He had to make sure he had no weapons and no assistance. And he technically had both, because he brought down this coily tentacle monster that's part technology. Cyborg tentacle monster. How fun. But I have no problem with going ahead and seeing how the Stenza work. I think it plays out fairly nicely. And I forgot that. Again, it's been how long since, was it 2019? I'm looking at the date right now. 2018. I haven't seen this since the 7th of October, 2018. And coming to this point and looking back, I can firmly say that The Woman Who Fell to Earth is not only a strong episode, I think it's a strong Doctor Who episode, in all honesty. One thing I do know is that I'll have more to talk about with the next episode, The Ghost Monument, because in this one, there is no TARDIS, and that sets up an interesting situation for the Doctor. She builds herself a random microwave teleport, which I kind of like. I really like. But the next episode is going to address the TARDIS. And how that plays out is a discussion that we'll just have to wait. But I liked her not having the Sonic for half of the episode, having to craft one herself, trying to figure out how am I going to get around? I have to track my TARDIS, and then she has to drive around in a car. She's being driven by Yaz. I think that it's a strong setting, and I almost, no, I'm not going to say almost. I am going to regret not having this format going forward. That's pretty much it. So that means I just have to give a ranking. Now, we normally go out of 10. So if I'm going out of 10, I think I have to give this... I'm between an 8.5 and a 9. In all honesty, it is that strong. I forgot how strong it was, because the other episodes kind of let it down. But speaking strictly for this one that I just finished like 25 minutes ago, I think it might be like 8.5. 8.5. No. Finished 25 minutes ago. I think it might be a 9. I know that's kind of crazy, but it's just a good, fresh start. I wished the series stayed like this, but that's another discussion Thank you so much for joining us on Madman with the Box. Make sure to leave a comment down below. What were your thoughts of The Woman Who Fell to Earth? Maybe revisit it. And maybe you'll have an experience like mine. Maybe if you didn't like it, you still won't like it. Maybe if you loved it, you'll still love it. Or maybe you'll find something you didn't quite notice before. Make sure to follow us on all the socials. And see this one? Josh Quirky. Tell him he owes me. He owes me. He owes us all. Mark Gatiss. That's my time. So thank you one more time so much for watching. I'll see you next one. Alonzi!